What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Revoltech Zootopia Nick Wilde. And so here we have Nick Wilde posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. Nick Wilde does come with 4 different facial expressions. We do have his lackadaisical face, which looks really good. We get a big smiling face. We do get a terrified face. And then we get a really shocked and terrified face. He also does come with several sets of hands. We do have a pair of open hands. We have a pair of style pose hands. And then we get a hand for holding the carrot pen, which is not included with him, unfortunately. We also do get a pair of sunglasses, which do fit on his face nicely. And then, of course, we do get the Revoltech display stage. Other than that, we don't get any other accessories with Nick here, unfortunately. I would like to see more style of hands, but that's neither here nor there. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a closer look at Nick Wilde. And so here we have a closer look at the Revoltech Nick Wilde, and I have to say they did a very, very good job with this figure. Now, there are some things I don't like about it, but that's mainly in terms of articulation. But overall look and aesthetic, this figure is very well done. As you can see, they actually did a really good job capturing the look of Nick from the movie, so they did a fantastic job here. I mean, just looking at that face, you know the character, and it's perfect in my opinion. You can have one eye looking off to the side and then the other one peering off, and that's what I like about the Revoltech figures. Is if we take one of the heads right here, you can see they do have articulated eyes, so if you want them looking in a specific direction, they can look in that direction, or you can do something goofy like this, which still looks really nice. I do like that little feature. So overall, Nick Wilde here looks impressive, and the paint on him is just as impressive, although I feel that the sculpt is a little bit soft. It could be a little bit sharper because in the movie the fur had more texture to it, but this still looks good. You can see the coloration right here, how it goes from brown to the lighter orange right here does work fine. And then we do have his inner ear, which has lighter colors. And then we have his snout, which again has that lighter color right here. Really love the green eyes. They did a really good job capturing Nick from the movie. This is the kind of detail I was expecting to see throughout the figure. You can see his neck is very well textured. Unfortunately, his head seems a little bit soft. I would like to see a little more texture there. Really do like his Hawaiian shirt that he has on him right here. You can see he has a tie which isn't properly attached, so that is the way he came out in the movie. Really loving the detailing on it. The floral patterns on his shirt look really nice. I do like it. You can see some flowers, some leaves, some foliage. They all look really good. And then we go on to his arms, where you can see we have another beautiful transition from the darker color to the lighter color, which is accurate for a fox, and I think they did a fantastic job with that. His tie is, of course, striped. As you can see, it has red stripes, and its main color is blue. They do a really good job of keeping the tie looking the way it would. As you can see, the lines go one way right here at the lower part of it, and then at the knot, they do go the other way, which is how a tie would go if it was tied up properly. Something I do like is the detailing in his hand. You can actually see the pads on his hand are actually painted like a grayish color, and that is really nice. He also does have some black nails applied to him. Although they're not the cleanest paint apps, they still look really good. I do like them. You can see he does have his tail, which for some reason is darker right here, lighter on the other side, then goes darker right here. It's a little bit strange how they did his tail. It doesn't seem to mesh well with the rest of his color scheme, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I do think that's accurate in the movie. I'll have to rewatch it again, so that's nothing I have a problem with. You can see he has his slacks on really nicely. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have any articulation at his knees. Most of the articulation is here at his hips. So, yeah, we'll have a look at that later. Tail is done really well. Love the big bushy tail. And then we have his feet, which have some really nice texture, and they do have his nails painted. So overall, they did a fantastic job with Nick. Even the seam line in his pants and his shirt look really good. Overall, love the detailing on Nick. So they did a fantastic job just sculpting his detail. So I have to give him props on that. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Nick posed and compare to other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have Nick Wilde posed next to a Marvel Legends, Cyclops, and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we do have Nick Wilde posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure in a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we do have Nick posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger in a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we do have Nick Wilde posed next to the Revoltech Judy Hopps. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at Nick's articulation. Now, if you saw my Judy Hopps review, she had some pretty impressive articulation. Nick here has some articulation, but it's not as impressive, which we'll go over right now. He does appear to have ball hinges here at the ears, which they do work, they do function properly. The only thing is, the left ear on mine seems to have like a spring to it. It's not supposed to have a spring to it. It's supposed to move fluidly like that. So I don't know what the spring is. I'm going to have to really pop his ear off just to see what that is. But the ears do articulate, so I do like that. Of course, we did go over the eye articulation. His head is actually attached via ball hinge. It's not attached via ball joint. And unfortunately, it is pegged in at an angle, so it only serves to pivot left and right and looking up and down. Unfortunately, we don't get any rotation in it. The way it's angled, he only does get head tilt, but it's impressive head tilt to say the least, so I do like that. And the articulation going up and down is really good. He also does have a neck hinge, which does let him look up a little bit more. It does look down, but it is hindered by his collar right here. He does have a ball hinge here, or a ball joint at the shoulder. Actually, it's a ball hinge. It only hinges forward and back, and then of course does move around. It's a little stiff on mine. Let me see if this one... Yeah, there's definitely some stiffness in his joints that we saw that we didn't see with Judy, but you could get his arm to do a full 360 theoretically. I'm just not going to do it because I want to loosen that joint before moving anything, because you don't want to tear your pegs, but in and out and all the way around. Yeah, that's a really... Yeah, you can see there is some resistance there, which I do need to pop his arm off to get it to go around. Otherwise, I risk breaking the joint. We do have a hinge here at the elbow, which does allow for some rotation. We also do get rotation at the forearm. We do have a ball hinge at the wrist, so that moves forward and back. And we can rotate that joint to have an up and down hinge as well, so really good movement there. He also has a Revoltech style joint here at the abdomen, which he only leans back about that far. He only crunches forward about that far, and you can actually see the Revoltech style joint in there. It even clicks, so that's a true form of a Revoltech joint, but he does have some rotation, so you can get some posing out of it. We do have another Revoltech style joint right here, but unfortunately it is hindered by his shirt. You really can't do much in terms of crunching. You mainly get a swivel out of that joint, so that is unfortunate. He does have a ball hinge here at the tail, so that does move up and you can rotate it, so that works perfectly fine. We only have standard ball joints at the hips, but they do move forward to about there, go back about that far, and then they do go out only to about that far. So again, not the best we've seen, and I wish it was a little bit more. We don't have any articulation from the hip to the ankle, unfortunately, but we do have a Revoltech style joint which does allow for rotation at the ankle. You can hear the audible clicks here at the ankle, which do go up and down. Then we do have forward facing pin for rocker ankle, and unfortunately no toe articulation, which is a little bit surprising, especially coming from a Revoltech figure. So overall, not as articulated as Judy Hopps as you would expect, but I would have liked to see a little bit more articulation in Nick, and there's just other areas that they could have used but didn't. So he's not as articulated, but he looks just as good as Judy, so I have to give them aesthetics for that. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Revoltech Nick Wilde pose for my final thoughts, and overall I think they did a really good job with this figure in terms of aesthetics. When it comes to articulation, I do feel like this figure suffers just from the sheer design of the character. He's not as articulated as Judy Hopps, which is a very bad thing in my opinion. I would like to see a few more joints, and I'm pretty sure if they had thought about his engineering a little bit more, they could have done something different, like having him on those Revoltech joints for his abdomen. Would have preferred ball joints at the mid-torso and at the waist. Would have found a way to give him some knee articulation. That would have also been good, and change the way that his head is attached. I'm not a fan of the pin and hinge that they went with. Yeah, it does provide really good rocker ankle or rocker head, but unfortunately he doesn't get any left and right movement just from that hinge. You do have to use the neck joint, which is kind of hard to get to because of his collar. Again, I really like the look of this figure. I just feel like they missed the mark in terms of articulation, and with a little more thought put behind it, I think this could have been a really good figure. Not saying he isn't a good figure, but I'm just saying it would have pushed him over to the next level. Now, this figure is still very impressive in terms of detail and aesthetic, and if you have him posed next to Judy Hopps, it looks really nice seeing the two together. But as a standalone figure, I kind of feel like Nick here misses the mark just a little bit. Now, Nick Wilde here will run you about $50 depending on where you get them. I actually picked them up from Hobby Link Japan, and in total, after conversion rates, it did cost me about $52 plus shipping, which thankfully I do ship multiple things, so it's not just one figure. But yeah, I feel like Nick Wilde here isn't as good as Judy Hopps, but he's still a really nice figure. Now, if you are looking for your very own Nick Wilde in your collection and you're a fan of Zootopia, he is still available at Hobby Link Japan, or you can pre-order him at Big Bad Toy Store. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Zootopia, Revoltech, and import style figures. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it fits in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.